Since COVID-19's real estate investment bid for Planet Front property was approved, employees started to realize that their worth was no longer tied to their W-2 salary. They realized that a JOB stands for three things: just over broke, juggling over bills, and jerked out of bed. Rona running up on Earth with the energy of a rogue nun wielding a ruler was the tipping point because jobs were treating employees the same way. Surprisingly, CEOs included. As a result, the Great Resignation has spread its shadowy tentacles throughout private sector, ranging from entry-level exits to C-suite turnover. And as college football turns over a new page, the powers that be have finally resigned to the old narrative that institutions prioritize education and school tradition for the student-athlete experience. NCAA's quiet quitting of this rhetoric has started once conference realignment became commonplace. Schools such as Texas, Oklahoma, and USC made bigger waves than bad belly flops with their announced decisions to change conferences. As the NFL's minor league system, college football removed the deceiving cloak that athletics is academically rooted in entertainment. It's really free enterprise, drawing parallels between CFB and Wall Street. Now, if you worked a corporate job before, you've probably heard of quarterly business reviews, aka QBRs, where a company's progress is evaluated 4 times a year. During QBRs, a document known as a balanced scorecard is used to assess business performance. Think of it as an internal scouting report for corporate, broken down into 4 sections: customer relationship, internal processes, education and growth, as well as financials. A quarter of the way through the 2022 college football season, the scope for Q1 of our CFB QBR will be focused on the most important pillar for many involved: in 1950, the University of Pennsylvania and Notre Dame pioneered playing football games on TV after signing network contracts. However, due to decreased in-person attendance but a boost in TV ratings, the NCAA squeezed both schools to sever their media deals like Thanos turning back time for Infinity Stones. The league needed people in the stands to drive their profit margins. Instead, the NCAA structured their own deals, but with limited viewing options. In 1952, the NCAA would air 1 game a week, charging networks $1.14 million a game. As a result, the NCAA was constantly scrutinized by schools for antitrust violations. Finally, in the early 1980s, Oklahoma and Georgia partnered in a lawsuit challenging the NCAA's monopoly on college football TV contract negotiations. The suit reached the United States Supreme Court, which ruled 7-2 against the NCAA and opened the doors for universities and conferences to negotiate their own media rights agreements. In 2022, college football conferences will surpass $1.5 billion in media rights deals. Factor in not having to directly pay for overhead players, these numbers are better than 45 self-proclaimed property valuations. In business, the CEOs are usually top dollar earners, given their responsibility to set the corporate strategy and oversee its execution. The same rings true for their CFB counterparts, head coaches, whose salaries go up year over year, clearly outpacing inflation. In 2022, the top 5 coaching salaries, Saban, Smart, Sweeney, Riley, Kelly, total over $55 million a year. Compared to today's sideline CEOs, the early 1900s CFB head coaches were getting paid pennies and pocket mints, with average salaries ranging from $800 to $8,000 a year. However, my favorite throwback deal is John Heisman's 1904 3-year contract with Georgia Tech because of his 30% of game day ticket revenue clause. Now I see why he's named after CFB's most important award. He was getting to the money early in the game. Heady play. Finally, the labor gets more than scholarships, stipends, and dry fit sweatsuits. When you're the backbone of a multi-billion-dollar business, it's the least you can get. By far, the most important addendum to the balance sheet recently has been the NIL deals. But first, gotta give the forefathers of college football legends their flowers. Think about if NILs existed just a generation, which is 20 years, ago. You know one player who would have been a modern-day NIL mega millionaire? That's right, South Central Louisiana State University's finest, Bobby Boucher. The gridiron trailblazer with the playmaking ability of Lawrence Taylor and the personality of a Teletubby, All-American Bobby B would have started a bidding war between Dasani, Fiji, and Essentia Water. John Deere would have pulled up with a custom-made lawnmower. Yet something tells me Bobby would have had more haters beyond his former boss, Coach Red, given NIL feedback polls. Okay, not a lot more, but there's still fans bothered by the new school drip, which is interesting given that most of them are labor workers in their respective industries. Some outcry centered around the spend categories, cars, jewelries, etc. Yet some of you may say they should take the NIL money, invest into real estate, mutual funds, etc. But in fairness, how many of you were thinking long-term strategy at 19 years old? Some of y'all are pinching pennies just to pay for plastic bottles of Pinnacle vodka. These athletes have earned the autonomy to move how they want while getting professional guidance along the way. So don't be mad. Instead, be glad for these underpaid gladiators who are sacrificing their bodies daily while we watch them perform. You gotta be built different to play football. I found out firsthand I wasn't ready after suffering a blindside hit that sent my body somersaulting like Simone Biles. My cleats never kissed the gridiron grass again. I was 12. And as college football's cash cow grows bigger every 12 months, from media dollars, coaches' pay, and player marketing deals, these CFB financials remain in good standing. It's no longer a secret. While college football isn't professional, it's still big business. Thanks for tuning in to Writing on the Ball. Please visit on all platforms. Click, follow, like, subscribe, and share. And until next time, we gone!